Okay, I'm sharing my screen. So hope my screen is visible. So today we'll be learning about Kubernetes Manifest. Okay, so what is Manifest and why we need that? Till now we have seen how to create the pods, deployment and services, also the replica sets using an imperative command, that is kubectl. Okay, using kubectl we used to create the pod services or whatever resources we want, that we created using the imperative commands. Okay, but the declarative nature is what recommended. Okay, declarative means we will use an YML file in which we define what is the desired state we want to achieve. Okay, so why YML? We can also use JSON format, but why YML? YML is very easy to write. Okay, and very easy human readable format, uh, markup language. Okay, it is declarative in nature, and it interacts with the APIs very easily. Okay, so whenever we write a YML, we'll be indirectly interacting with the APIs. Okay, so the high level English language is converted into the APIs language using YML. Okay, so what we define there, the actual state means we will define the desired state. The Kubernetes will compare the actual state and achieve the desired state. So what is the how is the manifest file means written? So the first part will be the API version. Okay, so the API version of the resource, okay, which we are creating. Then the kind of resource, okay, what we are creating, pod, service or something else, whatever the kind is, the second part. Then we will add the metadata, means whatever object or resource we are creating, we should give some name to it. Okay, that is nothing but the metadata. And the specification, it specification is nothing but the state of the object. Okay, or which image to use or any other configuration. The main specifications are given in the spec. Okay, so this is the example file or sample manifest for deployment service. Okay, so yesterday we created kubectl run command. Okay, in that we gave hyphen replicas equal to 3. Okay, the same equivalent of that command is this YML configuration. So if you see, the first is API version. Here it is mentioned that first line should be the API. Then we define the kind of resource we want to create, or a kind of an object which we want to create, that is deployment. Then the third field is the metadata. Okay, the metadata is we are giving the name to the deployment, that is nginx deployment. Okay, so if you see, the first three lines are common. Even for the service, the first three lines are common. Only the kind and the version number means the service and the version number is changing, but the API kind metadata, these are common. So this is for cluster IP, this is for the node port. Then the specification. The specification is we want three replicas here. Three replicas of what? The application called nginx. Okay, but there is a concept of labels and selectors. So what we are doing here is we are defining a label. Okay, the label defined is here, that our application name is nginx. Select that application. Okay, so here it is selected. It is first just selected, but while learning, just go from bottom to the top, that we defined a label here called nginx. Okay, and we need to select it. For selecting, it is matching the label app nginx. If the label matches, the replica should be 3. Okay, then we have more specifications, that is we are creating a container. Okay, the name of the container will be nginx container, and for that we'll be using image nginx latest. Similarly, here what we are defining is the selector. The selector is for this label defined in the deployment. Use this app nginx. Okay, for that nginx, the port should be port 80. Okay, and the protocol should be TCP/IP, and the type of the service will be cluster IP. Similarly, here this label is selected. Okay, this label here defined is selected. For this label, that is for this deployment, the type of the service which you need to create is node port. Okay, so whatever API version which we need to define, that you can see it on the documentation. Okay, so we cannot remember every time, right? API apps v1, sometime it is beta, sometime it is alpha, v1 alpha, v1 beta. So here on this link, okay, it is also given in the wiki page, uh, that which API version should be used, and some examples are also given in kubernetes.io/docs. Okay, so again I'll explain. The main part is the uh, what we say, the label and selector. So this is the deployment configuration which we'll be creating. The first part is the deployment. Here till here we have defined the deployment API kind metadata, that we are creating a deployment called named nginx deployment. Okay, the label is for which label, app nginx, but the here it is defined the label in template section. We defined a label app nginx. Okay, but it is selected in the specification that three replicas of this app should be created. Then we have specification for the container, that use container port 80, image nginx 1.7.9 in this case. Okay, again, whatever that label we defined here, app, here it will be selected. Okay, selector app nginx for the service, and here we have not defined any type. Okay, so by default it will be the cluster IP. So if you do not define the type, it will be cluster IP. So this is how we'll be creating next the deployment and service YML files.